I've always said that the mark of a great reporter is being in the right place at the right time. So it's no surprise that this morning, when I was having breakfast and Conor was in the merchandising store buying this fine top, Brian was in the right place at the right time and garnering some information that would prove prophetic. Brian.
Yes, the honorary starters, Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player and Tom Watson, they were in the media centre for about an hour before the tournament really got underway. And between the jigs and the reels, they all tipped Rory McIlroy to win the Masters. First Player, then Watson, then Nicklaus. But Nicklaus had a caveat. You know, he said that we met the week before, they'd gone through the course shot by shot. He listened to Rory talk him through the whole course.
And he agreed. He agreed with everything.
I couldn't fault anything you said. I didn't open my mouth, he said. And then he said, that's exactly the way I want to play this golf course. But the discipline to do that, and it's the discipline that Rory has lacked, in my opinion, he said. He said he's got all the shots, he's got all the game. He certainly is as talented as anybody in the game. But if you go back and see his history the last few years, he gets to a place a lot of times and an 8 or a 7 pops up, and that keeps you from getting to where you need to go. I'm a big fan of Rory's, and I like Rory a lot, so that's what I think.
Now, for most of the day, Rory teed off just shortly after lunchtime, Conor. And for most of the day, we would have said that Jack was talking a lot of rubbish because we've rarely seen a round as disciplined in terms of Rory was doing. In fact, I was struck by something Shane said last week about Scheffler. He was impressively unimpressive.
Yeah, and like...
No, unimpressively impressive. Unimpressively impressive, yeah.
Yeah, and there were a few rounds like that today, and Rory's looked like one of them, because certainly after the first 6 holes, you could have said he could have been a couple better or a couple worse.
Right.
You know, on the second hole, the 5th, he had that pitch because he was in the bunker. He was going for the green in 3. It came off the back of the bunker, and it shot off. And you could see his body language was kind of saying, what do I need to do to catch a break around here? But then he made birdie on 3, and he made a great par on 4. And he spoke on Monday at his press conference about chasing a feeling, you know, and from there, I think till the 14th hole, it looked like he had it.
Yeah, I thought again, it's only to be expected he would be a little tight setting off. I thought he was a little tight on the first tee. But then notably after, certainly I thought the putt on 4, the par putt on 4 was huge. And then by the time he got to the turn, you're thinking this is great. And he keeps going. He gets to 4 on the par, playing the 15th hole. And I'm walking down the 15th fairway on the right-hand side. And I happen to see Wayne Riley from Sky talking to a load of Americans. And he's talking about giving his take on the day. Rory's 4 on the par in a canter. What happened next?
I think he took a 5-iron to go for the green in 2. And remember, like he had missed a very good chance for birdie on 14 as well. He could have been 500 at that stage at a canter. And I don't know how surprised he was. I saw the shot tracker on it, and he hit a beautiful draw. So he hit exactly the shot that he wanted to hit. And you could tell by the body language that he was happy with the contact.
I thought he looked happy with it, yeah.
Yeah, and it just tipped off the back of the green. Now, a number of players referenced 15 afterwards, saying that the green was really, really hard and it was really fast. So I'm not sure that Rory could have pitched that ball in a better position.
I was standing behind some American spectators who'd spent the day there basically. I'd said they have no idea how fast that is coming back from where they are. Now, you've imagined that they had a fair idea given how many times they've played here, but this was I thought it was bad luck from where I was standing, which was up on the, on the hill looking down. It's been described as a mistake.
Yeah, it's hard to know, because I heard like a couple of different analysts on television saying that he didn't make the right contact. Nick Doherty speculated he didn't make the right contact, so he didn't get any spin on the ball.
Yeah.
Then with a bit more hindsight, I think other people were speculating that maybe he just missed his spot slightly. But maybe there's no shot back from back there, because Patrick Cantlay was in the exact same position and he made an 8. He went into the water from his shot back.
Twice.
So you can see, you could see from Rory, his body language suggested he didn't think it was all that bad a shot.
Yes.
That was my read of it.
Yes. And there was another factor, Brian. Are you aware of what Paul McGinley said about the delay before he hit the shot?
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, obviously, difficult shot, probably a little bit into the grain. One of the new greens, one of the 4 greens that are new, so very firm. And McGinney made a point of, jumping in on Sky. They went to him because he really wanted to say this. He said, look, Akshay Patia was playing with Rory, and Ludwig Aberg hit a second shot in the water and took an age to play his 4th from the drop zone. Knocked Rory a little bit out of his rhythm. Then there was another delay with guys hitting off the 16th tee, which is just across the way. So, Rory,
Waiting a long time to hit
he's
this.
waiting a long time to his. It's 3 or 4 minutes. He's been cruising along all day, as you say. Knocked out your rhythm a little bit. Lost a little bit of focus. The discipline, as Nicklaus said, maybe, didn't hit the greatest shot. But Victor Hovland said later as well, he made birdie there. He said, look, that pitch, I aimed left almost off the green because you just cannot hit it. It's just so slick down there.
Right.
And it
So that-
actually kicked right on me, and I was
Okay.
thrilled. And I bet other guys had problems there today. Didn't
Okay.
even know what people had done.
Okay. So what's really interesting is the effect it has both on Rory, which he's visibly deflated. I thought he was visibly deflated.
Like an
I
electric
might say,
shock.
yeah. But also on the golf course and on the fans who were watching it was like, wow, he's looking like he's going to go to 5 under, and suddenly now he's back to 2.
Yeah, and he just watching the leaderboard all day. I think everybody's very conscious coming into this Masters about the position after day 1, and definitely on the 14th hole, you were saying whatever happens from here on in, it could go slightly one way or slightly the other, but Rory's going to be comfortably within that zone. And yes, you have to say that he compounded the mistakes that he made.
Well, first of all, he makes par on 16.
Yeah.
That's okay. Goes to 17, hits it right, slightly right, still just off the fairway in the fringe.
Yeah, just off the fair in the fringe. Obviously took slightly too much club. Now he has to cover that bunker as well. So maybe the yard was a bit tricky and he caught a bit of a flyer. But he pitched it just like the ball came down just past the hole. And at that stage where that ball is, it's dead. It's totally dead. There's no pitch from back there. You're lucky to make a 5. And in the end he made a 6. And I mean, 2 double bogeys in the round from where he was. It's just the effect of it. It's the feeling of it. And you could see it in his face. You could see it in his body language. You could see it after the round. He was trying his best not to show it too much. Yeah. But he is, as we know, a very expressive fella, and he finds it hard not to.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. And he didn't speak to the press again. He went in, signed his card, and left straight away, which I wouldn't have been too surprised about that. But again, the effect is what's really interesting, because Conor, give us a take on the scores. You look at where he is on the leaderboard, and you said, well, if you'd have told Rory today you're going to come in out of the first round 4 shots off the lead, which you can argue, well, Rose at 7 under, but everybody else, Sheffield 4 under. Next best to Justin Rose, who's leading, is Sheffield O'Connor's Oberg at 4 under. Now, if you told Roy you're going to be 4 shots off the lead, I don't think he'd have been too unhappy about that.
No, but I think it's the headspace. Like, I don't know what it is that golfers get up to after their round and in the morning, how they chill out, how they decompress, what they do. But what Rory is doing now as we speak is going to be very important, because he's out early tomorrow. And the problem is, if he lets this get at him and it influences how he plays tomorrow, like, to get back up this leaderboard, he's going to have to play a couple of rounds without making really any mistakes. Certainly none as damaging as he made today. And as good and as controlled as Rory McIlroy is, going back to what Jack Nicklaus said this morning, the capacity to make a mistake that becomes ruinous, it's just always there. And it can happen to anybody, nearly. But if you compared it to how Scotty Scheffler played today, it just never looked like making a mistake.
Now, gentlemen, let's talk about Shane, because he had an interesting round today. We listened to him at his press conference, a brief press conference when he came in. And he summarised it by saying that he felt he struggled on the front 9, but turned in 2 under par, and felt he played better on the back 9, but only finished 1 under par. So that's the magic of golf, I suppose. I watched him early on, and again, looked a bit scratchy. Looked like he was struggling, particularly a sloppy bogey on 3, but bounces straight back with a very good birdie on 4. Very good putt for birdie on 4.
Great up and down on 5.
Great up and down the five. What I'm interested is we spoke about body language, and if you compare, I mean, he's one shot better than Rory. But if you were to look at the two of them walking off the 18th green and ask, well, okay, what have they shot? There's no way you would ever say it was one shot.
No, well, like, I suppose it goes to show you that, like Shane played kind of his heart out today. Now he didn't, like, he hit it all over the shop, I think, particularly early on in the round, and like did really well to save a couple of pars with his chipping and with his putting. And then he said he said he gave away the easiest bogey of all time on 17 and made. Now I think I do think his demeanor would have been different if he hadn't a bird.
Well, he said that. He said that like dinner will taste a lot better tonight because of that board on 18. I mean, I was down on 17 and watched them coming off the green, and to say the old bleeper was out would be putting a miley if they were picking him up on the bikes. He was steaming.
Yeah.
Absolutely steaming.
The only thing about Shane, the difference is like he was never 4 under.
Yes, absolutely, great point.
Shane also loves it when it's tough, and he said, he made a point of saying after his round that this is just going to get tougher and tougher and tougher, and when it's really, really tough, that's when Shane Lowry plays his best stuff. So while Justin Rose shot 65 today, he's only 3 shots off second place, and I'd say he'd be pretty pleased really when he sits down tonight and reflects on it, and especially to see a few putts go in as well, which would be good for him.
Right, let's have a quick gawk at that leaderboard there. Justin Rose 7 under. I guess everybody's asking what's Scotty Scheffler doing today, and at 4 under he's started pretty well. What are any thoughts on that?
Scheffler just never, he didn't really put a fault wrong. He didn't take any chances. He just hit it, safe parts of the green, no bogeys.
Unimpressively impressive again.
Impressively impressive. Rose. Rose. We've seen Rose before. I think this is the 5th time he's led after the first round of the Masters. I think he was in a playoff another year as well. Didn't hit two pretty poor tee shots in the last 2 holes, which Nick Faldo made a point of bringing up on Sky, who were trying to be, rah-rah, Justin Rose played great today, but those are going to be playing on his mind now, over the next few days. So, 44, he'd be the 2nd oldest winner of the Masters after Jack Nicklaus. Would be tremendous. He's a great player. He'd be a popular winner, so, Rose there. Corey Connors, very solid tee to green player. Neighbour, who was 2nd last year as well up there. Just 3 back.
And again, he looked like he was doing nothing all day for certainly the front 9.
He's another unimpressively impressive player as well. Like, I really enjoy how little time he takes over the ball once he settles on his shot. There's nothing that's going to get into his headspace that's going to make him back off, unless there's some sort of actual disturbance. Watching Scheffler this morning for a few holes, I watched him on the first in particular and the 2nd and 3rd, and I've never seen a guy whose natural rhythm, the rhythm of like even the speed that he walks at, the length of time he speaks to his caddy, takes the club. He's so in the right timing with the speed of tournament golf. You never see him looking over at his right. He's never looking over. He's never edgy. He's never bristling to kind of get on with it.
Yeah,
it's just so easy for him, and he shot 4 under today, and it did honestly feel like he had another gear in him if he wanted to drop it, because he strikes his irons so well that he's just going to keep giving himself chances all week. Now, having said that, he dropped 3 putts from all over the shop, like from miles out, and the whole thing about Scotty is that he's a statistically average putter, but you'll take them when they're going, because they will happen.
Now, we've got 2 other talking points we want to get to before we wrap up. And one is Nick Dunlap, and the other is it Jean-Louis Ballester? What's his name?
Ballester, the Spanish amateur, the US amateur champion,
Let's start with Nick Dunlap, because I was following Phil Mickelson, right? And Phil Mickelson, they were standing on top of the hill and there was the delay. And I couldn't figure out what the delay was until I saw Nick Dunlap in the middle of the 2nd fairway playing across to the 3rd green. Now, I'm coming to this event since 1997. I have never seen anybody hit the 2nd fairway from the 3rd tee. It was an unbelievably bad shot. It's something I'd do. Well, just atrocious.
2 good stats. One of them is that Nick Dunlap shot 18 over par today despite not having any 3 putts. And second of all, he went around his round 19 shots worse than Fred Couples.
What a game.
65-year-old Fred Couples.
What, I mean, what a, how could you not love this game? No, seriously.
It's mad.
But I'd like to ask Fred, or I'd like to ask Dunlop how he feels about it now.
Yeah, sure. And the other talking point is really, really extraordinary. Really extraordinary. What happened?
Well, the aforementioned Ballestero, the amateur champion,
He was playing with Scotty Sheffer.
Yeah.
he's playing with Scotty Sheffer, and there's no other way of saying this. He went for a piss in Rays Creek. Now I know a lot
13th.
on the 13th. And now I know you're saying you're coming here for a long time, and I think most of us will have to admit that we've urinated on golf courses over the years. But there's a fantastic quote from him where he says, two quotes brilliant from him. One of them is, "It was not embarrassing for me. If I had to, I would do it again." And the other one was, he thought that probably people would not see me too much. So he had built a certain amount of exposure into his decision making here. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Augusta National, but they take their golf club around here fairly seriously.
Yeah.
They threw a coach off the range wearing shorts the other day, showing his legs.
Well, on that note, to pee or not to pee, hopefully we'll be back tomorrow night with some more encouraging news from Rory and Shane, and another great day's golf. Thanks for joining us.